Okay, so it's good news for Sony as its short on supply PS5 console managed to dethrone Nintendo's Switch sales dominance as more stock PS5 units were made available to eager consumers, sourced via Metro.com. Now, PS5 is now the best-selling console of 2021 in the UK, beating Nintendo Switch, which is no small feat. Now, PlayStation 5 has still managed to outsell both the Xbox Series X and Switch this year. At the moment, the console war between the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 is really only a war of words. With both consoles perpetually out of stock, it's impossible to say which one is really winning hearts and minds, but there is new information on which has sold the most so far. As ever, there are no figures, but according to GamesIndustry.biz reporter Christopher Dring, the PlayStation 5 has become the #1 selling console of the year in the UK with a healthy lead over the Nintendo Switch. Although the Switch has been suffering its own less severe stock problems, it's still an impressive achievement given there has been more than 1 month where the PlayStation 5 has been all but impossible to get hold of. Now, according to Christopher Dring, stock levels improved greatly for all next-gen consoles, as was obvious from the number of retailers getting new stock. The news follows a recent report from analyst group Ampere that the PlayStation 5 is outselling the Xbox Series X by a factor of 2 to 1, with estimates of Sony's console selling 2.83 million units in the first 3 months of the year and Microsoft's only 1.31 million. How accurate those figures are still likely to be never known, as Microsoft does not report hardware numbers, but according to Christopher Dring, Xbox sales are catching up with Switch. Interesting stuff, and a minor miracle considering the apparent stock shortages. So now for our second part of the video, and before I get into this part, I think I should preface with I watch a whole lot of PlayStation centric and Xbox centric YouTube channels. I don't always agree with the content, but I'm savvy enough to filter out the BS opinion on offer from the actual news, the facts as they were. Now, back in the early days of this channel, some years ago I would add, I would waste most of my time and yours by making videos to call these people out. Now I just post a quick tweet and I'm done, over with. But every so often along comes someone who spreads the most misleading nonsense, yes, you can call it propaganda, in support of the platform they prefer. We've seen a ton of media types recently tweeting and making YouTube videos trying to convince you that the Xbox Series X is better than PS5 and worth, your money. And the PS5 is not worth it. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. Now, the likes of big media channels such as IGN, Kotaku and many others I don't care to mention, at one point I thought Microsoft had purchased IGN on the download because they were so pro Xbox. It's ridiculous. Now, the sad part is a lot of these people are Twitter verified or carry a little weight in the game community, and people actually take, or some people actually take what they put out very seriously. Now, I enjoy playing on my Xbox Series X. You can see my Series X gameplay in this very video. Watch Dogs Legion, which is a whole new experience running at 60 FPS on Series X and PS5 and S, I believe, Series S. Now, the ray tracing implementation when it launched was rudimentary, rough around the edges to say the least, but I much prefer buttery smooth gameplay over 30 FPS with ray tracing enabled. You can also see my Series X UI setup. I really do enjoy playing on my Xbox Series X. I wouldn't have spent the money I did if I didn't. It's so quiet and I don't get to experience screen tearing you see in this video because I have VRR enabled on my TV panel. I also really enjoy playing on PlayStation 5, though if I had to choose only one, it would be PS5, not because PS5 is made by Sony, no, because of PlayStation's track record of stellar AAA games that are always, let me repeat, always consistently of high quality, and that, friends, is the only reason. Let's say for a minute Sony slipped up and really slipped up out of this next-gen gate in the way Microsoft did last gen with Xbox One. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it was Xbox producing the AAA bangers that I love to play. Which system do you think would be my preferred primary console? Yeah, obviously, the platform consistently producing the goods, right? So at least for me, this is not about brand loyalty. I do not subscribe to such a thing. It's like a bad relationship. what's to stay loyal to? Like I've said in prior videos, when it comes to video games, Foxy Games UK is only loyal to his wallet. So now you know where I'm coming from. Let's talk about this guy, Brad Sams. And I'm not going to ridicule or slander the dude, and neither should you. So I'm asking you that you don't go attacking this individual on his Twitter or YouTube accounts. Otherwise, you know better than the mindset I'm about to discuss now. Good Lord, where to begin? So it's no secret Brad Sams is super aligned with Xbox, Microsoft, Windows, you name it. He is almost an Xbox mascot in some ways. Even when the news isn't particularly positive for Microsoft, Brad Sams finds a way to minimize any negativity towards the company. But for some really strange reason I just cannot fathom, I fail to understand, Brad Sams, a verified Twitter account holder, felt compelled to tweet the following, and I quote, "Can't believe I'm about to say this, but I don't trust at Lisa Su, the AMD CEO." He goes on to state, "I think she's lying by saying PS5 uses RDNA 2. I can confirm that Xbox Series is the only consoles to use this technology." You can imagine the obvious Twitter fallout. It was on nuclear level. Strange indeed. Let that sink in for a minute. Xbox Series is the only console to use RDNA 2 technology. Now, of course, I felt compelled to respond to this tweet. I tweeted, "I'm sorry, but this is utterly ridiculous. Sometimes some people just take it too far with their futile attempts to gaslight, alter reality in support of fanatical brand worship. Let's make this super clear. PlayStation 5 is RDNA 2 based. End of." And Brad Sams likes to play the media role, but publicly calling AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su a liar borders on fanboy delusion. Only Xbox uses RDNA 2 clearly shows a severe lack of basic media training. I mean, you don't outright call somebody a liar, and you're in this position, Sam, you should know better. Now, the problem with Brad Sams is he's not your ordinary fanboy letting loose on social media platforms, cheerleading his favorite corp or brand. No, Brad Sams holds media status. He is once again, people, Twitter verified, and a lot of people pay attention to this guy. This is incredibly irresponsible with this guy in this position, and Microsoft ought to be concerned that they have this individual unofficially representing Xbox. So obviously his controversial comments followed the recent Computex 2021 AMD presentation, and something obviously triggered Sam. Something obviously made Brad Sams incredibly insecure to publicly call out Doctor of Computer Sciences, Dr. Lisa Su, who just so happens to be the CEO of AMD. That little company that produced the silicon for both Series X and S and PS5 consoles. Why on earth would she need to lie? I guess Elon Musk lied too when he confirmed in a tweet his Tesla range, S and X, ironically, would feature RDNA 2, the same computational power as PS5. He didn't mention Xbox, did he? No, he mentioned PS5. I guess respected lead architect of PlayStation 4 Pro and 5 Mark Cerny lied too when he confirmed PS5 is RDNA 2 based. They're all liars. Only Brad Sams is telling the truth, since Brad Sams is the only one who can confirm Xbox Series only uses the RDNA 2 tech. We live in a sad world when we try to reinterpret or just straight up gaslight reality. Even one of the Foxy Games UK Twitter followers tweeted that Brad Sams is either very brave or incredibly stupid. I mean, of course, Xbox Series consoles has the full RDNA 2 suite. That's because they want development ease and an easy development environment in terms of they do produce a hell of a lot of PC games now. So it makes sense to, have the full suite of what PC has in terms of RDNA 2. Sony, not so much. Sony went very, very custom. They have all the features of RDNA 2, but Sony, kind of removed some of the stuff they didn't want, surplus to requirements, because Sony implemented its own techniques into the silicon. It's very, 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 very straightforward. Now, I would go far as to say that this tweet could be borderline mental illness. And I'm not saying he's mentally ill, I just want to really tread carefully with this guy in case he is suffering a delusional episode. I don't want to make fun of somebody in that position, but make no mistake, even if he is of sound mind, the tweet itself is delusional. Though what say you? Go ahead, sound off, share your thoughts and opinions on today's video. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts on Bright Sam's and the PS5 sales. Let's not make it all about Mr. Sam's, because that unfortunately brings us to the end of this video, and let's continue the discussion cordially in the video comments. And for all your gaming news, rumour and plausible speculation, hit the like button, spread the word, and of course subscribe, hit the notification bell and help us reach like-minded gamers. So yes, sure, please feel free to share that video. Consider supporting Foxy Games UK via Patreon. You'll find a link in the video description. Thank you for the extra support. That concludes our time together on this Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, play games, not corporations.